Welcome back. I'm Paul Friedman, founder of the Marriage Foundation. And today's topic, you might say, you can finish the sentence in a million different ways. I told my husband thus and thus, but he doesn't listen. I told my husband how to make love to me, but he doesn't listen. I told my husband to get a better job, but he doesn't listen. You name it. All of these things are valid. And I want to let you know something. There's nothing wrong with you. And believe it or not, there's nothing wrong with your husband either. Doesn't matter that you're frustrated by his lack of receptivity. I'm going to explain this in great detail. First, I'm going to talk to you about marriage. Then I'm going to talk to you about him. Lastly, I'm going to talk to you about you. So I want you to stay with me all the way to the end because all of this is important. I used to be a divorce mediator. And in 2001, I know it's a long time ago, but everything that I share with you is up to date. Why? Because the institution of marriage is the same as it was when it was first created. So let's talk about what marriage is. And I want to let you know something that you should know. We have not been taught about marriage. In fact, we've been mistaught. The advice that we get regularly from the world, the suggestions we get from magazine articles and talk shows and the like, it's all wrong. And the reason why it's wrong, and it's not their fault either, they're not trying to mislead you, but think about it. When you wanted to learn how to drive a car, look what you went through to learn how to drive a car. It was an incredible amount of education, wasn't it? And then, on top of that, you had to practice. You had to practice hitting the brake just in time, remembering to hit the turn signal. Why? Because a car is a complicated thing. Driving it on the road is much more complex. So when you combine all of the rules of the road and all about the car and all about how you have to behave in a certain way, it adds up. And when you first start to drive, you're gaining experience. Fortunately, all the other drivers around you have also gone through driver's training, so they know what to do. So you could see when other people are making a mistake and it registers in your mind, I'm not going to do that. Now let's use that as an analogy and talk about your marriage. How complicated is marriage? You didn't know that when you were getting married. You didn't even think about it. Usually what happens is we know we want to get married. And then we're looking for the right one, Mr. Right. And when you find him, it checks all the boxes and the door opens for you to fall in love. And we describe this man as your soulmate. And you're wondering now, how can he possibly be my soulmate? He never listens to me. He is your soulmate. What we don't learn about marriage is epic. There's so much. And even with the experience that you now have, after having been married for anywhere from 3 to 30 years, you still don't know much about marriage. And please don't be insulted by that, but look at it statistically. Do you know that the divorce rate is over 50%? Well, what does that mean? It means that at least half the people who get married can't take it anymore. Their marriage just got worse and worse and worse until they were pulling their hair out and they said, I got to get out of this. The people who stay married, from my experience, and since 2001, when I've been helping people stay together, learn to be married, and have a great marriage, since then I've discovered at least 80% of those who are still together are not very happy. Well, that's ironic, isn't it? Because, and this is something we never think about, even though it's obviously true when I tell you, the reason we get married, the reason is because we want to be happy. Isn't that true? I mean, we don't want to fight all the time. We don't want to feel frustrated. We don't want to feel disconnected. We don't want to have struggles within our marriage. There's enough struggles in life as it is. And so we get married and we discover things about ourselves and about marriage that are not that awesome. Isn't it true? So one of the biggest problems and the reason why there's so much failure isn't because your husband is bad or because you're bad. It's because you didn't know about marriage. It's really that simple. And I don't care how long you have been married now, it is correctable. Not too long ago, a minister who was very, very frustrated, pastor actually, wrote to us and said, my marriage is just not clicking, I'll be honest with you. And he took our course for men and he wrote back about a month and a half or 2 months later, and he said, I had no idea. I've been married for 40 years, and literally, we're now experiencing our marriage like we just got married. You guys have it all. And he learned to become a TMF marriage counselor, which is something that a few people are moved to do because we know marriage scientifically. Here's the things to keep in mind about marriage that is important to know. Remember what I said just before. We get married to be happy. So if you're not happily married, don't blame the car. Don't blame yourself either. But don't blame the marriage. Don't blame your husband. It's a lack of information. You lack the information. You're a great person. You're not just a good person. And you deserve to be happy. But you weren't exposed to what you needed to know about marriage. So yes, you get married to be happy. Marriage, another thing that you don't think of consciously, is at the very basis of your marriage is love. You got married out of love. And your desire, which is a rightful desire, a righteous desire, your desire is to have that love from now, when you first say I do, when you first agree to get married, you have the right to have that marriage filled with love. Love. And that love, by its very nature, should be ever expanding. Now, it's an interesting thing, something I've discovered, and that is that even though your marriage is now shrouded with all kinds of the love hasn't gone away. I call it the eclipse effect, where your marriage is hidden by anger, frustration, what you perceive as incompatibility, which isn't true, but you perceive it that way, and all of this other stuff. Let's call it material stuff, because love is spiritual, all the stuff is material. Well, I don't feel good. That's emotional. Material is blocking the love, but the love is still there. So here's the takeaway about marriage. When you learn how to be married, it's nearly impossible to not be happily married. And it takes a little practice, but first it takes learning and absorbing what marriage is all about. I wrote a couple of books, and that may be all that you need in your case. But definitely get marriage educated. Now you could just watch these videos, and that'll help you. It's helped a lot of people. It's up to you. Now I said I would talk about your husband, because he's the one who doesn't listen, right? So here's what you might call thumbnail number one. Nobody listens. Nobody. Not just your husband, but if you have a brother or a sister, they didn't listen. Your best friend, you wanted to give them great advice, she didn't listen. Your boss, he or she wouldn't listen. People don't listen. And I'm going to explain to you why. You see, this is the difference between how I've approached marriage in order to help people compared to how other marriage experts approach marriage. I approach marriage very scientifically. I want you to understand it so when you are really driving your marriage, using the analogy of a vehicle, you know. You don't need to be told, oh, don't turn there, oh, don't do this, don't do that. So one of the things to learn is that nobody listens. What is really going on here? What is going on? And you don't listen too, but we'll get into that when we're talking about you. What is that all about? We learned about this in middle school. We learned about the innate drive to survive called self-preservation. It is part and parcel of every living cell and group of cells. And how does that apply here? Because our bodies are trillions of cells interlocked. And so that drive to survive is telling your mind, is telling his mind, survival is number one. So in that case, now it doesn't mean that he's like an animal or you're like an animal and all we do is survive, because we are souls. And so what we call the ego, which is a combination of you, the soul, and your mind, it's a tempered self-preservation in the case of a human being. And so everything that we do is tainted by this selfish drive to survive. Well, yes, but I've told him repeatedly, why can't he listen? Well, the reason why is because we, as much as we're told we have free will and we tell ourselves we have free will, the truth is quite different. The truth is that we have turned over our will to a combination of this drive to survive and the habits that we have put into our mind that ensure that nobody can get to us. And so the surface habits, the ones that are like reactionary habits, are merely the tip of the iceberg. Under those habits are a layer of habits that define the reactive habits. Are you following me? So this layer of habits underneath the tip of the iceberg, the reaction that you have, are habits of perception, of how we see things, how we hear things, how we have calculated things in the past. Beneath that layer, I'm not going to go on, but trust me, layer after layer after layer. So what do you do about it? And that's number 4. Number 3 is you. You also are a victim of your self-preserving habits. And so when your husband reacts defensively because he's not listening and he clams up, or he argues with you, or he gives you the cold shoulder, or he starts spending more time with his friends or at work, those are his reactions. They're escape. Because you know we either fight or fly. And so what happens is you become more frustrated by that. And so you pile on even more because your mind is telling you he's got to listen. And it builds in intensity because that's how minds work. It's not how souls work. Souls really don't care. Souls are all about love, forgiveness, understanding, compassion. And we are essentially souls. So what we have to do, and this is number 4, where we get into what to do about it. Before you tell your husband something, whatever it is, ask yourself, if the situation were reversed, and be honest with yourself, how would I react? Would I listen? Would I take it? And imagine that what he would be telling you, or someone else telling you, doesn't matter who it is. If it doesn't fit in your boxes of understanding and your mental boxes of appreciation, You're going to resist. You're also going to resist because it's an intrusion upon free will. And that's what's going on with your husband. Now, what do you do about it? Now, this may shock you. What you do about it has everything to do with what you don't do about it. Number one, don't react. Don't react. You want to say something, don't. Don't allow your mind to react to that information that's telling you he has to listen. You don't have to. It's up to you. You have free will. Well, but then, so when I used to work with couples and individuals in my office, and they would say, yeah, but. I would say, I don't know how this happened, but I said, okay, here they come, the yeah, but birds. Because they'd never come just one yeah, but. There's always another yeah, but and another yeah, but. And I saw them as a flock of yeah, but birds. So put the yeah, buts aside. And what you do, instead of allowing your mind to drag you into this incredible negative back and forth within your own mind, start thinking about something more positive about your husband and then act on it. You see, we are responsible for 3 do's: thinking, speaking, and acting. That's our power. We think about what we want. Most people don't realize that. Most people think you have a thought, it's real, I go with it. No, it's not true. You have the power over your thoughts. So change your thinking. And then your words. It's easy. Bite your tongue before you say anything that's harsh, negative, mean, demanding, intrusive. Don't say anything. And number 3, do. Smile instead of frown. And make it, and this is where it gets really good, make it sincere by making sure your thoughts are aligning with that smile that's conveying, I love you. Why did you get married? To be happy. What makes both of you happy is love. Fill your marriage with love. That's what it's all about. That's what we didn't learn when we got married. We didn't learn you are just now set up for the most successful marriage that God's ever seen. How do you achieve that? Fill it with love. Fill it with joy and harmony. And you'll be amazed at this wonderful institution called marriage. It's amazing how wonderful it is, but we're not taught. Now I've given you just a morsel. Go for it. Trust me that you're able to turn your marriage into the most amazingly happy place on earth, way better than Disneyland. I'm Paul Friedman. I founded the Marriage Foundation. I hope you like this video, and I hope you share it. I also hope to see you again, because I'm here to make you happy. That would make me happy. God bless you, and take care.